Okay, Dr. Worm looks like you want to say something.
I've been wanting to say something for the past 5 minutes because you touched on something that was very interesting. Is that that's a very good, solid point where you said that these people get obsessed because they have nothing else going on in their lives. A lot of these stands that you'll see on the internet are younger people, young adults, late teens type of thing, where they are now on this internet and they're so obsessed because that's just an integral part of the growing up person's life. That's just a whole other culture you have to adapt to. That's just how it is. That's just how things are progressing. Get used to it, right? But now that these people are on here, I don't want to say fester again, although that's a good word, but it creates this kind of void where you feel like you have nothing else going on because you are exposed to so many things on the internet that how can your life truly compare to that? And so when people see these K-pop stars, going out there, they're having fun meet and greets. Oh my god, they just colored their hair. Whoa, they're so good friends. Oh my god, look at them walking around in their cool fashion. That can make these younger people obsessed with them and glorify them so much because they have nothing else going on. A lot of the K-pop stands that I see are, those really hard, intense anime weeaboos where that's what they're obsessed with normally. They don't have real friends, right? Their entire life is kind of centered around the internet and centered around these things that they have become so embroiled in, where they don't really have any sort of social interaction outside of, this fandom that they are in, right? Like, K-pop stans, normally, they're only going to interact with other K-pop stans, right? Whether that's for good or bad, because I know that they have intense, practically gang wars, where if you like a certain group, but someone else hates that group, you guys are going to become instant rivals, it's this type of thing. And K-pop stans are crazy, right? Because
I was going to say, I have some, they're called sasangs, which means private. And they're usually 13 to 22-year-old girls.
Right.
And it started off with... Because the managers of K-pop, because you want to bring that up, but I had some things I wanted to mention that. So it started off with the managers of K-pop. The K-pop stars are there for the fans. They end their concerts with "I love you," "Thank you for coming." They're for the fans. And so now this has evolved into the fans are obsessed with them because the culture is... The K-pop are for the fans, you know what I mean?
Because the whole K-pop culture is this huge corporate machine, is what it is.
Yeah.
Where that's Korea's main export is K-pop, right? And that's where they get a lot of their money from. And so they spend so much time into really military-style drilling these kids that go to these schools to become K-pop stars to just make them the perfect fan service machine. That's what they are, right? And they have control over every single little aspect of their life, right? These K-pop stars aren't allowed to have relationships because that would ruin their relation with the fan. They aren't allowed to do anything that's themselves, anything like that may alienate some fans or whatever, right? They're not allowed to have their opinions or anything like that.
They usually have to live in a house, too, with each other, right?
They do. They have to spend so much time with each other. Because it's very successful. They make a lot of money, but yet they have no control over their lives. And so...
For years and years.
Years, because each little aspect of their life is dedicated around their fans. And the fans really pick up on that. They see that, and they kind of latch onto them, where they're like, oh my god, they're like me, they care about me, they say I love you, and stuff like that, right? And so these... Sasangs, whatever they're called. They become so obsessed, and especially in Korea, where that's the major thing, is K-pop. So a lot of people are going to get obsessed with that. And they do actually go to, more traditional ways of stalking, where they will, go to their house, they will send them stuff, they will send them letters written in their own blood with locks of their own hair, sending them to the K-pop.
They've broken into their homes. They've sent letters with blood. One K-pop star said that he would step outside and there'd be feces and like he said, like they're marking their territory. Like,
yeah, that's what it is.
Animals.
It's this primal type of thing where if you're glorifying someone, normally I think you wouldn't want them to, see your gross blood and your feces and all the weird types of hairs you send them. But yet the K-pop stans, because they feel like those stars are their own property, which is basically what the managers are trying to portray them as, they will do whatever. They will even if you love them, they will, put poison in their drinks. They will send them gross food, stuff like that.
They'll try to poison the other, like, say they like...
They like BTS, but then there's another, like Blackpink or whatever. They will try to poison other groups.
Yeah.
And these sasayangs, they don't care about good or bad attention. Any attention is what they want. That is their main goal, is that they want the attention of their K-pop stars. So they will literally run up on stage and try to tackle them, try to attack them. There's videos of this one K-pop girl group where this guy, he walked up on stage, grabbed one of the girls and started pulling her off backstage with him, right? And the girls, they didn't fight back, right? Because they are trained that everything they do is for the fans. So like this whole self-defense type of thing, where you have to deal with stuff like this, that's completely glossed over. And so they didn't know what to do. They kind of just stood there while this girl's getting pulled off stage by this random guy who crawled up there. And this whole blood letters and stuff like that, their managers completely brush over everything like that because they only want these people to be objects of the public.
To make money.
To make money.
But now, I mean, because I was reading an article, it is becoming a problem now.
It is, definitely.
It's becoming more of, like, going from, like, being a stalker and sending letters and flowers and stuff like that, which is one thing, to actually poisoning other bands, so poisoning other people.
Yeah.
These girls drop out, or men, whatever. It's mainly prevalent among women, but they drop out of school. They devote their whole life to this one group, band, person, and, yes.
Raise my hand.
Wait. Dr. Wormer, I got something for you to bite on here, okay?
Well, let me just say this real quick. Like I said previously, since these people don't have any real friends, there are whole websites and forums dedicated to just one K-pop group or one person, right? Where these fans congregate. And they are encouraging each other to have these sort of violent acts. Because let's say I go onto this forum and I say, hey, I hate this group. I think I'm going to send them a cool season cyanide letter. Then everybody else is going to be like, yeah, you do it. Because they all love the same extremes that you do. And so it's really becoming more of a problem because we really need to shut down these types of forums and these types of congregation, these groups that are thriving off of each other and the violent acts that they try to do. Okay, now you can go.
Okay, so kind of what I'm picking up here is technology has not been so good to us, has it?
Good and bad, but I mean,
that's a cynical point of view. I will not agree with that.
Well, without the internet, like, okay, if they didn't have the internet, what do you think they would do other than play games or sit on their computer?
They
do you think
would
people would still be so obsessed?
Yes. Well, because I mentioned examples before the internet.
Right.
So you don't have the internet, but you're still going to get people meeting in coffee shops.
Right.
You're still going to have fandoms.
You find someone on the street that has a BTS shirt, you're going to be like, hey, that's awesome. Let me get your number. Oh my God, let's go beat up this other group, right? It's still going to happen.
Yeah,
so
but they never killed Agatha Christie and they didn't kill Doyle. They
didn't kill any K-pop stars.
They haven't killed any K-pop stars. I mean...
But I've never heard anybody, trying to poison Agatha Christie because she killed Perot.
The Bjork stalker tried to poison her.
Really? I never heard that.
That was
He would send her letters with acid and stuff on there, and then he killed himself. But yeah, that was...
weird.
That stuff isn't, caused by...
It's not caused just by the internet. The internet makes it more where you can reach more people.
Right.
But that's still going to happen regardless of the internet.
Well, yeah. That's what was it? Poe, Edgar Allan Poe was obsessed with another writer to where that's where his whole life and what he was writing about was about that other writer. And so he went downhill. He killed himself after. I mean, he just, wasted away.
Turns out it was recently proven that he did not kill himself.
Well, when you drink yourself and drug yourself to
no, it was
as you know what I mean.
Yeah,
obsess.
We just mentioned this. Okay, what about the obsessive freaking people, the fans of the composers? That's way before the internet, yet They still did it. They still flocked. They still had all these creepy mannerisms. I'm telling you, the internet is just a provider of interaction. It is not the root of all evil, right? Which
true. Because, like you said, I have a couple of YouTubers I love to watch, and they get me out. Okay, Aqua Chigger, he's a metal detectorologist. He goes metal detecting. He gets me out without me leaving.
Is that a word?
I don't know. It was on PBS. But he gets out there and he does. He talks to the camera as he's talking to you. That's how he involves you. And you get to see Civil War things. You get to see historical things. And he's knowledgeable. He knows this stuff and he talks about it. And so I love watching that because of that history he does and the closeness and involvement. And then there's another guy I watch that he's so knowledgeable in this field that I watch that it makes it so easy for me to get out there with him and walk in the woods and talk about this and that. Maybe that's part of the good part of being in the internet. Say if you were handicapped, you could go to Spain, because people do that all the time.
Well, I mean, also, you say that go to Spain, like, when I'm doing the stationary bike or whatnot, and you could put on biking through Spain, biking through New York.
Yes, which I do.
And that's fun, too.
I don't like New York. It's too crowded for me.
Okay, let me touch on something that before because there's two things I want to touch on. One, okay, let's go back to the K-pop. There's this guy, Ollie London, and he has spent $100,000 to look like Jimin from BTS, which is a K-pop group.
He just looks gross.
He looks gross. He looks nothing like Jimin. And what he wanted to do is, he saw them once, BTS, about 5 years ago, and he's only 28 or so. He saw them 5 years ago and became so obsessed because they look perfect. And it's not because he's obsessed with Jimin. He is, but he says they look like dolls. They look so perfect. They have the perfect lifestyle. They look, groomed and just, now he wants to emulate that. And he spent $100,000. And actually, he's done everything. He's changed his eyes, his nose, his chin. He's gotten fillers in his cheeks. I mean, he looks nothing like when he first started 5 years ago. Nothing. But he also looks nothing like a K-pop star either.
That's another thing about Korea is, of course, they're going to look perfect because Korea has this huge culture on plastic surgery. There are whole reality shows where they will take ugly girls and they will put them through extensive procedures to make them look perfect because they're so obsessed with this look where if you have the wrong nose, you're going to be outcasted, right? And so the K-pop stars, they have to look perfect. They've undergone probably a lot of makeup before each performance. Their hair is always perfect. Their clothes are picked out to this point where that's not even them. If you saw them normally as they were, if you'd never seen them go down this path, you would not be able to recognize them because Korea has such, this view on the perfect beauty that's so unnatural. It's kind of weird. But this guy,
and I've seen where they've put in colored contacts to make their eyes more blacker, and they put on kind of a rubbery noses to make their noses perfect, and their makeup, and you would never recognize them when they come off stage because in their real life that's not what they look like.
Yeah, I mean,
they're groomed and made up to look like this, So when they come out, everybody goes, oh, they're perfect. And they do